It's the morning DNA. I'm. Yes, I did see that face. That was pretty amazing.
Podcast listeners, it was sassy. Sorry. Oh, go ahead. Everything.
No, it's fine. Sassy face, woman of a million distractions, all that kind of stuff already going on. I'm Aaron Dicer, the man of a single black shirt. She is Danae Hughes, the woman of 1,000,001 distractions, since we've already added one this morning.
That's true.
And we're here to find out what the day of September 27th, 2021 is made of.
I don't know why. In my mind, I thought you were going to say 2022.
2021. That is the year we're in. Does anybody else feel like we should still be in like 2019? Like it's just, oh man, it's just.
Why 2019? Oh, because of pandemic.
Yeah, pandemic. It's just like, it's almost like we need a different calendar for pandemic time. And then we'll go back to using the regular calendar when we're all done with this. I don't know. It's
kind of like
weird.
at the end of our life, it's like, actually, we get another year.
That's right.
We have that instinct that we're about to die, and it's like, you know what though? I'm gonna turn in this extra year card.
That's right. Yeah. I had a
I get an
do
extra
not pass
one.
pandemic card. Do not collect
Good
death.
morning, everybody.
It is amazing to see everybody in the chat. Thank you for hanging out there. Good idea from Lolly. I don't know if you saw this in the chat. Had a thought about a Halloween DNA episode. Aaron and Danae should broadcast the episode in character as each other.
Oh my God. Could we? Could you? Do you think you could maintain Danae frequency for an hour?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Shut your face.
Oh, 100%. I think you would have trouble staying in character as me. I think that would be the issue.
Okay, so
But
obviously I would need to get some makeup to do the most amazing beard.
Oh, full
podcast
beard.
Listeners, let's just talk about it because the podcast listeners can't see. It's magnificent.
Thank you. Yes, full and complete, no gaps anywhere.
No strange sections missing.
No, it's just beautiful, beautiful beard.
It does not look accidental at all. Actually, it's looking nice. Can we?
Thank you.
Come on, like everybody who is able to see it. I think it's looking more purposeful than accidental.
Well, good news. It was almost gone this morning. It was 1 pound away from being gone. It was 1 pound away from being gone this morning because I'm shaving it every 15 pounds that I lose. And I am 1 pound away from my first shave. So yeah. So I almost got to shave it this morning.
Crap. This is when I remember that you told me what this was. We talked about this.
We did a whole thing on it.
I know. It was last week. I know. I'm actually remembering the visual that I had of you shaving your beard. I was like, oh, I've had this visual before. Cue moment. 10 pounds?
15. Every 15 pounds. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I knew that.
We're close. It was almost this morning. Moxie Madness says, good morning. How goes it? Today, how goes it?
Thanks for asking, Aaron, right as I took a drink of coffee.
It goes fine for me, Moxie.
It's going good. Yeah, it's going really, really good. I'm very happy, albeit sleep deprived, but that's purposeful. So
yeah.
I don't got nobody to blame for that other than myself.
Yeah, you're burning the midnight Twitch oil, doing some fun stuff with your RP and wild RP and all that kind of cool stuff. And for those of you that joined Danae for wild RP and are hanging out wondering what's this DNA thing about?
Good morning.
I would just say, first of all, this was first. All right, let's get that very clear.
I was her friend.
I just want to say I knew her before you, and yeah, all that. No, but welcome. It's very cool to have people hanging out with us on Monday mornings and chatting about whatever the world is going on. So
yeah. I've been burning the midnight oil because there's something about this new outlet that I'm really loving, and I don't know how long I'm gonna have the time to spend on it, or I don't know when I'm gonna crash. And so I'm just having a good time, as you do, especially my kind of personality. But it's hit this new level where I have found a way to entertain other people while also having fun myself. And that combination is dangerous, and
Yeah.
I'm here for it and having a good time. So Moxie, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm feeling very I'm very filled up these days, which is a really good feeling, you know. Even though I'm tired, like I find time to take rests and things like this. And it's really interesting how much I was doing in my evening hours that I have now made time for to do something else. And I've talked to people so many times in life and they're like, oh no, you make time for things.
Yep.
And I was like, no, you sleep. My whole entire life, I've always said, no, you sleep because I love sleep. And suddenly I don't love sleep anymore. And it's the coolest thing. Highly recommend it. Once you find something, just, you know, chuck it out into the alleyway. Have fun.
Sleep is important. We should sleep. Sleep is good. You
I'm not
should
saying
try
no
to get
sleep.
some sleep, but right, yeah. But no, what you said
Less
is
sleep.
very applicable, and I'm glad you're discovering it in a new way. We have time for the things we make time for, and I think we convince ourselves that there's no time in our life. And the real situation is more about what we make priority for. And right now, you're making priority for gaming, and that's fun. That's really fun for you. And
Yeah.
I make priority for watching movies. You know, I stayed up last night and watched a couple movies.
I mean, that's just
what I
lame, but
love.
okay.
Listen, I support your
kidding.
thing. I support your thing.
Oh my gosh. It is a lot of fun. I think the thing that's changed for us, so just, you know, upon reflection here at this beginning of our show, the thing that's changed, I think, for me with our show, though, is the platform of Twitch has just become kind of its own community for me. And before it was like, you know, we're podcasting for ourselves and our audience is large in part in a digital, like they don't get to interact with us. And then our super fans, you know, come and watch our live show that we started doing. But now there's this entire Twitch community. I mean, they're in the chat right now and saying hi and talking about the show last night and everything. I'm just like, like I want to instantly go and talk with them and play. So just for those of you guys who are watching this for the first time, we're recording our podcast. So it's a little bit less interactive for the Twitch side of things, but we really do try to pop up comments that you guys have. Like this one from R1 Ma, who says, Danae was up way too late playing games. I was going to bed when the notification popped up that I went online. But then, you know, Real's like, yeah, and we's enjoying it. So, yep.
Yeah.
Also, Ates says something about your camera. Do you see that you're flickering, sir?
Yeah, it's on another level today. I've noticed it do that a few times. One thing I can do, I would have to disappear for a second, but I could change to a different software for the camera and see if that clears it up, if it's really annoying to people.
I mean, it's on a different level today.
It really is. It's just it's flickering a lot. I noticed that too. So maybe I will try to do that. I will say you mentioned the podcast listeners, the interactivity with the Twitch listeners. Finding that balance is getting harder and harder. And I think right now, and our podcast listeners who are podcast only may agree with this, we're leaning towards the visual element of this. And that's just a natural thing that's going to happen with kind of the way we're doing this. You know, I hope you're still enjoying the podcast. I hope you still enjoy kind of the things
Our
we talk
chatty
about,
conversations.
the topics, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there definitely has been a shift towards interactivity, a shift towards the comments here. I think that's natural. I would be interested on both sides. I would be interested in feedback from a podcast-only listener as to how this experience has been for you, and you know, just
if
kind of
you're
some feedback
hating
from
your experience,
Sure.
please message Aaron directly. Don't tell me. And please don't wait until we do our day swap where I'm Aaron and he's Danae. And
That's
then
when you
give
send all
me
the
the
hate
deluge
emails.
of
Yes,
don't do
yes.
that. We don't want
No,
that.
I don't think they would be hate. I really think, you know, people would be honest and let us know.
We want to entertain. We did talk to about at one point in time bringing back our segments, you know, and doing some kind of fun segment type stuff. So, you know, maybe we can do something like that. Aaron is going to fix his camera, and while he does that, I'm going to read some comments. And thank you for the follows. Real Mikey Alexander, it's nice to have you. We've got people watching from Twitch and YouTube, from the Book of Faces. I love you though. And Twitter also. So there's a nice group of people. So you guys in the chat aren't seeing the fullness of the chat. So I'm motivated enough. It's morning, no migraine today. Took a walk, made an actual breakfast already, and got a Twitch account. Holy crap.
That's a lot.
So hold on a sex.
Just short circuit your brain today because you said the word sex. Your brain just short circuited.
No, what's short circuiting me is that I played a character last night who likes to add S's onto the ends of words.
Got it.
And I've already done a little bit of her accent already this morning, so she's going to be leaking out, I have a feeling.
Oh, yeah, I imagine so.
So did you make your Twitch account and just to come in and chat with us? I'm just kind of curious how you popped into our chat today.
No, that's really fun. I don't like my visual on this camera quite as much, but we shouldn't get the flickering. So I
didn't even notice you switched cameras. Does that make me a bad friend?
No. It just means my eye sees certain things that probably aren't important.
Castriff, while I was reading comments, makes a really amazing comment that just says, "Read this one," and we have. Polly says, "Hey, when I miss one of these, I listen to it as a podcast. But it doesn't feel the same. Bad, it doesn't feel the same. I miss the interaction." Oh, see, that's good feedback. Thank you. Real says, "I have had last week off and I'm back to work, and sadly, it's going to make it really hard for me to keep up with Wild RP." Feel that, felt that. Wild RP is the game that I play. It's the type. Well, the game is Red Dead Redemption 2, but the style is an RP server called Wild RP. And there's a lot of different people that play it, and people get really into their different characters. It's like watching a TV show, and because it's not something that you can necessarily... The addictive part is that everyone's doing it live, and those who are streaming, you can pop between streams and see things from different angles. And if a character walks away... Okay, wait, hold on a second. Before we go on. Imagine watching a television show where you know everything is improvisation, but it's really juicy and good. And you've got these, let's say a group of people that are talking, okay? And they get into an argument, and you're watching from one side, and they all split up and walk apart. And you know there's about to be like a gunshot shootout or something like this. And you have to know what that other person is thinking. And being able to click a button and switch camera views, and you are now with that character, and you know what they're thinking because you're watching it live. It's so fun. It's so addictive.
It's like Middle Ditch and Schwartz with 200 people and multiple... engagements.
I mean, the improv, but also,
that's the only long form improv thing I can think of that's in like modern pop culture.
What was that show with the shooby pops that they went to the and then there was that. Do you remember that one, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. You're thinking of Harmon Quest.
No. More robot.
Mystery Science Theater.
Humanoid. More humanoid robot.
Explain it again.
All right, so
because all I got was they went to the hoobada bop and they went to I got that part.
Okay, right. So you go to the train and you arrive, but it's the Wild West. And they're
Westworld. You're talking about Westworld. Yes. Yeah.
It's like Westworld, except for everyone's improvisational, and it's like it's really addictive.
And it's not like the content is very different than Westworld. I
mean, yes. It's also very different from Harmon Quest, as mentioned.
yes, it's true. That's true.
I do want to let you know, Made Reaper 338. So I have something on Twitch that allows people to redeem their points and do certain things. During the podcast recording, if you redeem an AMA, I will answer it, but I'll do that in our question section at the end of the show. So hopefully you can stick around. That way we can kind of stick to our format for the show. But I will be answering the question, what is the most appealing part of Wild RP to you? And I will answer that question.
I meant to mention about the podcast. The interesting thing is the podcast downloads are like skyrocketing right now. So it's really interesting that after kind of changing to the visual format, which if you were watching, you'd see one of Danae's million distractions is all of a sudden she's in water.
I'm stretching my body. I gotta stay loose.
I'm loose.
Yeah, I can take on the world.
Speaking of Middle Ditch and Schwartz. So, yeah. You ready? You want to shoot a doe?
Oh, yeah, let's shoot a doe. Let's do it.
All right. We're going to do the morning DNA and U. So we'll have a D topic, an A topic, and as many U topics as we can get to. So Danae will have something that we can talk about.
Good.
Yeah, it's kicked you into a gear this morning. So that's fun stuff.
I'm going to crash so hard. Just wait about 5 minutes, everybody.
Yeah, the combination of the caffeine crash as well as the sleep, lack of sleep probably will hit you here in the next couple hours.
Eventually.
Yeah. So what do you got? Danae, what's the D topic for today?
Okay, so here's my situation. Here's my topic to throw out to the chat today. Our pets have needs too, and sometimes they need a new rug. I'll explain that in a moment. For instance, my question to you guys as I'm telling this story is, what is something that you bought your pet that might make another person wonder, why did you do that? So my husband and I have 2 dogs, which they're in the background.
Hi, dogs. Hey, puppers.
You guys want to come say hello? Come here, Bubba's. Who's going to be first? Come here. Come on. And one of the dogs is doing this thing. Dog behavior is interesting. They're quirky, just like we are. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's depth perception or if it's color, because we have hardwood floors. I don't know if it looks at the floor and it instantly is confused about how to get down from anywhere. But like, for example, jumping off of the bed becomes a chore. And then if you approach this dog and you kind of lean over it to pick it up, it gets a little bit scared and oftentimes has little accidents. So you have to be really cautious about when you're approaching the dog, how you're approaching the dog, all that.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of wondering how to assist this dog. So we bought a bench for the dog so that it could have like a little step down. So it's at the end of the bed, for example, and he can kind of like jump off of it onto the little bench and then jump off onto the floor. So it's not as high. But that wasn't the issue because see, the dog beds, you put them on the ground, they're maybe 4 inches above the ground. He will suffer himself. Like he can't even bring himself to step onto the hardwood floor. So we do a good job of trying to keep his nails trimmed, all that good stuff. But over the weekend, it turned into a 20-minute ordeal to attempt to get the dog off of the bed. And I finally was like, you know what? We're going to go get a rug. I think it's a visual thing. So we went and bought a massive rug for our bedroom, which we've been wanting to do for ourselves anyway. But it's like the dog not being able to do what it was doing prompted us to actually follow through and get a house item. And as soon as I laid this rug down, he's just jumping up and down. So I finally figured it out. But what a weird thing to tell people. They're like, oh, you're shopping for a rug. Yeah, this is for our dog. This 8x10 carpet is so that our dog can have a better life. And they're like, oh, sure. But we buy crazy things for our pets all the time, I feel, or justify house purchases. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see what you guys have purchased for your animals. Doesn't have to be a dog.
While you're getting your stories in, I don't have a great answer to this question. When we had dogs, I see like your dogs are on a bed back there. We bought one of those. We had a very large dog and we had a very small dog. So I'm trying to remember what the breeds were. Danae, help me out. What were the breeds of my dogs?
You had a Dachshund and a Labrador.
That's right. It was a Labrador and a miniature Dachshund. So even like a tiny version of the Dachshund. And so we bought this big bed for our lab, and our miniature Dachshund claimed it. And our lab could not get on it. And that's just the only thing.
Oh, because your Dachshund was alpha too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Dachshund was definitely alpha, was there first. And it was just one of those things where it was like we had to convince our Dachshund that it was okay for our lab to use the bed that was lab sized. So I guess my answer would be a giant bed for a miniature Dachshund.
I love those stories.
Yeah, for sure.
Hosea says, third says something that people would be confused about is if I bought a pet in the first place. I love animals, but I'm not a pet person. Good for you for knowing that, though.
Yeah.
Let us know when you get an animal and why, though. I'm really curious about that because I find that people will oftentimes end up getting an animal unexpectedly. They're a lot of work, but they're fun. I mean, look at this face. He's so sweet. By the way, this is the one that has a hard time understanding how to walk
get onto
on
the
a floor. Yeah.
I wonder if it's because that dog has human eyes. I wonder if it's
maybe I can zoom in on him a little bit. He's so cute. Guys, this is Twix.
Yeah, Twix always freaks me out when Twix looks at me because I'm like, you have human eyeballs. Like you are.
Look at him.
Like
he looks into your little soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a soul gaze for sure. So,
yeah. He's a sweetie patootie. Okay, come on, let's get down. You can do it. He did it!
Yay!
Oh,
I mean, you threw him on the ground, but
I kind of assisted more than threw.
Sure.
Oh, you have one in this situation too. Polly says, I have a dog, miniature poodle, and he wouldn't jump on the bed. No, but he'd jump off, but that's interesting. Okay. He needed the confidence. Yeah, mine is regressing. Mine was doing really well and then not. I don't want to carpet an entire house for a dog. I don't want to do that.
Now, if you're asking me what I see people buy for their pets,
sure, go for it.
That always feels a bit interesting to me. Clothing is probably high on that list. I do get some pets are cold and they actually need the warmth, especially some smaller dogs. But yeah, clothing always is interesting to me. Hats, little hats that you put on, they can't like that, right? They can't like having something strapped around their head.
Can I tell you a story real quick about my
do.
pit bull? So I once had a pit bull named Patronus. Most people who have met Patronus thought he was one of the most amazing creatures that they'd ever come across because he was very, very intelligent and very sweet. And there was one day I was walking through the pet store and he goes over to, in the pet stores, they have like the lower little bins and he puts his head into one of the bins and he pulls out a tiny little hat. And this hat, God forgive me for judging. I thought to myself, a pit bull can't wear a hat like that. But Patronus was a different kind of dog, and he wanted to wear a hat like that. So I argued with him, and I put it back, and he took it out several times. He was so smart. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll show you. And so I shoved this hat onto my pit bull, and it's like one where it has almost like it covers most of his head, and there's two little slots for his ears. I put it on backwards first, which meant that it coming through his ears was uncomfortable. He sat still and patiently. I ripped it off. I put it back on. And the whole time I'm saying things like, see, Patronus, you don't want this hat. This is dumb. Look at how messy this is. This has got to be making you really annoyed. And I'm the one that's annoyed because he is sitting there as if this is his dream come true. I pull his ears through this hat, which I think was probably at least 2 sizes too small for a pit bull. Like, this is meant for a small dog. He was so happy. He pranced through the store. And I'm like, this is one of those moments when you're looking around going, I'm in a movie right now. And this is a scene of a movie and no one's seeing this but me. I bought him that hat. And every time I got it out, he just sit there really kindly and let me put it on his head. So I just tell you, not all dogs. Sometimes they surprise you and they just want to wear hats. They're just those kinds of people. I put that in the weird air quotes for the podcast listeners. I know they're not animals. I know.
Yeah. Let's see. Real Mikey Alexander says, when I had dogs, my ex and I would only get a car that would be comfortable for them to ride in. So your pets determined your vehicle.
I also have thought about trying to create things for my dogs too. Like, I want them to be able to sit differently in the car. What if I created some sort of box for them so that they could actually kind of see out the windows a little better? And then one of them fell out of a window. So we don't talk about that anymore though.
JCD says, on the other side, I was once asked when I worked retail if I had diapers for a pet goat.
But we know what the diapers are for. So...
yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, kids need diapers.
Oh my gosh. I bought a little clothes for my Chihuahua. Yeah, you did,
and
lady.
Hats.
Sure.
Listen, no judgment. There was no judgment for me. It is just one of those things. that I see, and I'm just like, does the dog like this, or is this for you? And, I think maybe it might be a little bit of both. Sometimes.
Before we go on to your topic, Aaron, can we just take a little side bunny trail into what Real Mikey Alexander says, which is, since I worked with dogs, I see a lot of weird toys, but I tend to reserve judgment for names more than I do toys. Names. And I would like to know more about that personally. So if you can think of a couple of dog names or animal names that you hardcore judged, we are not judging you for judging them. It's just sheer curiosity. And also, please rate the name of my dog. I loved his name, Patronus. These two are named Reese's and Twix.
Yes. I still think you should have gone with Almond Joy and Mounds, and then only got one of them neutered.
Yeah, that would have been pretty great.
just for the joke. Just for the joke. Just for the joke.
Just for the joke. Oh my God. Honestly, I wouldn't have believed it. JCD continues and says, I would not have believed it until I saw the coat later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, they need to be cared for too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll come back to your pet things. Aaron, you ready to move on to your topic?
Sure.
This morning?
Absolutely. My topic is a pretty easy one. It officially turned fall recently. What is your favorite part of fall? As we head into this season, I think we're 5 days into fall. I think it was the 22nd that officially was the beginning of the fall this year. So yeah, what like when you think of fall is coming, what is the main thing, top of the list? Oh goody, this is about to happen. I didn't say your favorite thing about a fall. I said,
yeah. Chris Batkinson says getting back up is the favorite part of fall. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Okay. Well, as you guys think about your favorite parts of fall, we're going to take a quick step back into the pet conversation. Sorry.
No, I knew it was happening.
Yeah, we knew it. First of all, I think we're going to have a link incoming. If not here, you can share it with me on Discord and I will bring it over here. But Captain Rebel says a few years back in London, there was an art exhibition for dogs. I can share a link. That's
nice.
That's incoming. And I am very happy with that. And then names were things like Bailey and Hennessy, things that were related to booze. Yeah, I can understand that. And thank you, Caleb, for saying that Patronus is an exceptionally great name for a dog. I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And then as we shift back over into the fall, Lolly would like to start off by correcting you and saying autumn.
Mm-hmm. Sure, you can call it autumn. Can be called either thing. My sister's name is Autumn. So that was one of those things in our house every fall was, hey, it's your season.
Here, I'm just going to hold on a second. Let me just.
I think Danae is changing my topic. I don't know if we've ever had this conversation, but I think that should be pretty hands off. Like, I mean, going in and adjusting people's topics. He says, as he did it like last week on your topic.
You did. Well, I feel like fall should be capitalized, and perhaps we could add the word season on the end just for. Anyway, go ahead. Carry on, Twitters. Carry on, Twitchers. Carry on, YouTubers. Shall we?
Nick says Halloween is my favorite part. Nick was talking during the pre-show that he has already got a couple costumes ready for his family. They are going as various Lokis this year.
Oh, so who's going to be the alligator?
So,
it's
and then
amazing.
Nick says, but really it's not being winter, spring, or summer. I get the winter, summer thing. Listen, spring and fall are basically twins. They're not identical twins, but
they're like my puppies.
They're fraternal twins.
My puppies are twins.
For sure. Let's see. JCD says, I've had pumpkin something for like a full week now. My mom is certain I'll get tired of it. I wished her good luck. The pumpkin stuff comes out in the fall. Our favorite.
I get tired of pumpkin stuff. Do you?
Yeah, no, I do. Absolutely do. Okay. Listen, the only fall pumpkin tradition that I look forward to in one way, and then in another way where I'm trying to eat healthier, I don't, is the pumpkin concretes at Andy's. The pumpkin pie concretes, I should say. Those are insanely good.
So good. They've taken an actual piece of pie and they put it into the mix. I wish I could have it so much without having a stomach ache.
I wish I could have it so much without gaining 50 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
The things that we wish. Actual pumpkin pie is okay. And then we start to get into all the pumpkin-y flavors, and I feel like it just starts to fall apart for me a little bit, guys. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't
totally with you.
know. Sometimes I'll have a pumpkin flavored something, and I think this is amazing. But then it started to become an everything.
Yeah. No, our favorite
It's
breakfast
everywhere.
place has pumpkin pancakes right now, and I'm just like, no, thank you. Not interested.
No.
Just not interested.
Pumpkin pie and pancakes? Yes.
Sure.
Pumpkin pie scooped onto my pancake? Possibly. Like instead of doing like a dollop of whipped cream, you use an actual dollop of pumpkin pie. I think I'm okay with that.
Polly says, my favorite part of fall is that we're that much closer to next summer.
Polly, no.
I think we know what Polly's favorite season is.
Oh, no. I mean, that's okay. You can love
summer
whatever you
around
want to
here.
love.
Listen, summer was one of my favorite seasons when I lived in Michigan. So a lot of this is geographic, but summers in Michigan were like mid to high 70s.
That's true. That's
beautiful
true.
all summer long.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
summers here are torture. Summers here are mid to high 90s, cracking the hundreds often. Like, yeah, I'm not a fan of summer here, says the guy who never leaves his house. But, when I do, I have to experience it.
This one was from Moxie. It says crunchy leaves, hot chocolate, Halloween, sweater weather, and new cheesy Hallmark movies.
Nice.
Man, what a great list.
Yeah.
That's a really wonderful list because I like everything on that except for the last one.
I don't know that I like the crunchy
But I
leaves.
kind of want to.
Is it you just like because I don't know. They're just a mess. And they get in your house and I don't know.
How are they getting in your house? No.
Because you drag the pieces in on your shoes. You don't get leaves in your house during the fall?
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You have 4 children.
I do have 4 children.
They like to bring all kinds of things inside. I'm going to go with that. I think for me, the moment that I heard crunchy leaves, I actually smelled the crisp air. And then there's something about the smell of the like, leaves decaying.
Yes.
Because that's what
beautiful.
it is.
Yes.
It's just leaves decaying. But there's something about like that. And the people who get to walk a lot and you're kind of walking along, it just changes the way your walk sounds. Sometimes your commute, if you're walking, is just very boring and it becomes mundane. But then the leaves get to add an extra flavor to your walk. That's what I'm thinking. But hot chocolate, heck yeah. Halloween, yeah, it's all right. But sweater weather, I'm with you. Love this list.
Yeah, Real Monkey says cooler temps when working outside and collecting chestnuts when they are ready.
For the open fire.
Yeah,
later.
that's where you roast them. You roast them on the open fire, but you can't do
Collect
that
it
till
here.
December.
That's right. So you collect them.
You're legally not allowed, I think, to roast chestnuts on an open fire until
There's
a
a
week
process.
before Christmas, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. I don't forget what the law is, but
I have a memory, I think, of my family chucking chestnuts into the fire to hear them explode.
To hear them
and
pop,
I don't know if that's a real memory or not, but I feel like that actually happened.
I love that you're aware enough to know that we make up our own memories sometimes and the
Yeah.
things that never really happened. It's such a weird human thing, but we all do it. We all have memories that aren't real.
We all have false memories somewhere in our
fact,
brains.
you could say all of our memories are false memories. Like
You could say this is the Matrix.
you could say that. You could absolutely say that. Medina says long coats. Yeah, coats in general. Although I don't wear many coats around here, it doesn't really get too cold. Like you can wear sweaters, long sleeves around the area where we are during the fall and winter and be okay for the most part.
I love layering. Fall layers is the best because I like to get warm and then I'll, just take off one and it's fine. But in the summertime, you can't peel your skin off, You can only go so far with the layers.
Yeah. IRL Clementine says the wind. Love that with the fall. Interesting. What is it about the wind? Like strong wind or just like that kind of medium, like wind that's going to, blow your hat off or because wind combined with cooler temperatures is not one of my favorite things.
But there's nothing like that first fall wind where it comes in and it's just cool enough that you're like,
Right, when the temperature is still like mid 70s or high
good.
70s.
Yeah,
and
right in that switch.
Yeah, right during that switch. Maybe that's
also,
what we're talking about.
Wind in the fall is great, especially if you're around trees dropping leaves, because it's like you're in one of those snow globes, but with leaves. So beautiful.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair for sure.
Jose says the best part about fall or cooler summer, as it's known in Texas,
Yes, we're almost with you, Jose.
is the ability to wear pants instead of shorts. I mean, break out those things. You got to switch around your wardrobe. It's time to bring out the wardrobe stuff.
Yeah, switch around your wardrobe, guys. That's something I do every season.
Clementine has a new comment about the wind. If you want to bring that up, I'm going to just quickly mention that Nick said my 3-year-old is going to be the alligator. So cute. I can't wait to see your pictures. So cute.
Nice. I am further up because I wanted to mention Caleb says fall holds the 2 greatest holidays, Halloween and Friendsgiving.
We're going to need to talk about Friendsgiving, aren't we? Let's write that down for one of our topics.
What is Friendsgiving? I've never heard of this.
That's like your chosen family. That's when you have a Thanksgiving meal with your friends and not your family members. So that way you have a better chance of enjoying yourself.
Because for many people, Thanksgiving is torture.
Yeah.
Right? Like to hang out with family and the topics that come up. And I am very blessed that is not the case on either side of the family. We alternate our Thanksgivings.
I think we're getting closer to maybe a Friendsgiving situation, but we have a really tight knit family, but we're not doing as well of getting together. But yeah, fall is one of those that you kind of, that's probably like when I was younger, maybe one of my favorite parts. But now that I'm in that age range where I'm having to coordinate, manage, think about, maneuver, and create meals for an event like that, I'm like, let's just get pizza. For clarification, Clementine says strong wind. We live close to the sea, so the fresh air just washes in.
Okay.
Ooh,
all right.
Seawater. Sea.
That Weta says, "Oh, Halloween candy." No, Weta. No, Halloween candy is terrible.
Speaking of, we have Halloween candy in our house because we're prepping, and we have these candies that are Starburst, but they're like half and half.
Yeah. Are they good? Is it like your go-to snack right now?
I really wish I wouldn't have opened that bag. Yeah. Oh, don't open it now. Don't open it now. Don't eat this right now.
Yeah, that is not a Starburst is not a candy you want to eat live on air today. No. That is a really bad idea. Have I said recently how I eat Starburst? Do people know this with me about how I eat candy?
I don't think so. Go ahead.
Has this been a topic?
Tell us.
For almost all candy, I do not chew, and that includes Starburst. So it lasts for one Starburst lasts for me, an hour or so, and I just let it dissolve and treat it like a Werther's or something. For me, I don't like getting candy stuck in my teeth, and I also like letting the flavor last for much longer. So yeah, just a little tip in case you want to try it. See if you can suck a Starburst, instead of
that
chew
sounds
it.
like an insult. Go suck a Starburst.
Not how I meant it. Not how I meant it.
I mean, just in case you're wanting like a G-rated way to, insult somebody.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
Here's one from Chris who says the cold winds do allow you to come home into a warm house, which is the best feeling of all time. That or a really hot summer and coming into air conditioning. My husband hates coming into a warm room because he's really warm-blooded. He's always just he's a furnace of a person. So I love warm rooms. This room right here, it's like 97 degrees in here and I love it. Okay. I don't even know what it actually really is. Probably. To him, it feels like a sauna. So he will come to the door and he'll walk and go. He'll walk forward and go. He's always stunned by it. There's like a barrier where the temperature shifts and changes. I personally love that feeling though, walking into something warm and being able to just, I am safe.
I agree with you though. Walking into AC is much better than walking into a heated home. And part of that for me has to do with, heating is such a particle based thing. Like when the heater kicks on, it kicks on so much like particles and dust and that kind. Like if it's a naturally warmed house, I like that. And during the fall, that actually can happen. The sun can use the windows to warm up the home, warmer than the outdoors. I like that quite a bit. So yeah, I'm with you there. You know, JCD mentioned something that when I was dissing on pumpkin, I should have remembered. Pumpkin bread. He also mentions pumpkin muffins with pumpkin pie. 100%. I love pumpkin bread. So add that to the pumpkin list. That's actually one of our Christmas traditions is we make pumpkin bread. And
so on the appropriate list, we have pumpkin pie, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin bread, and everything else is questionable. It's just those 3 items.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. You guys are like hopping on chat, so sorry for missing things.
Love it.
Oh, here's one from Mikey, who says, for about 15 years, I used to host Thanksgiving Friendsgiving dinners for coworkers and friends who weren't living near their family. That's awesome. My family has done that many, many years where we actually just invite them to our family event. Somebody who, my grandfather was a professor at a college. And so oftentimes there would be kids who would have to stay instead of going back home for whatever reason. And so my grandparents would almost every year have multiple events to make sure that they all had that family feel. And then, of course, their children picked up that same sort of vibe. So my mother would always invite people over. And so I have that same kind of like desire to just invite people to the table, so to speak, literally and figuratively.
Yep.
Does Danae eat a Starburst whole or does she cut them up like jelly beans? I will answer that question. Should we just transition into that section?
I've got a couple other things I can post while we go into the you questions, but yeah, let's get into it. So This is the time of the show that is for you. If you have a question for us, ask us anything during this section. We can't promise we'll answer every question, but every question is welcome. We talk about all sorts of things here. So
I love how chat's calling it the Starburst soak team. No. I'm loving that. Does she? Yeah. So how I eat Starbursts, just so you know, is I shove the whole thing in my mouth and I chew it up and then I swallow it. Very interesting. However, I do a test rather. I kind of like bite on it because Starbursts are that candy that if it turns into more of a tooth cracker where it like gets really hard, I no longer am interested. So then I'll just chuck it in the trash.
Yeah.
So you have to do the tooth test first. If it's still squishy, just the whole thing right in your mouth.
And now your dogs have a Starburst with paper, and just don't say lucky dog. Just don't say lucky dog.
Yeah, I will not give them that prompt. That would be very, very bad.
Yeah. I suck them. Nick says, OMG, my foyer is filled with leaves right now. It's awful. So a little bit of backup for me, Danae, that leaves do get in the home. I wonder if that'll start happening for you more with Iris tracking them in. I'm surprised, Justin. Sure. I'm surprised you and Justin don't track them in. Like they just,
it's
they're
not like
all
they stick
over
to your
the place.
shoes. They don't stick to your shoes. Like it's not like snow.
If they're covered in dog feces, they might.
What an incredibly specific scenario. Are you having a traumatic flashback to a walk in the park?
The other thing is the wind will carry them towards your door, and then when you open the door, and that little breeze or whatever can suck them in as well. Yeah, no, I think that's a fairly common thing that leaves get into the house during the fall. But maybe you just have
I don't know.
An interesting situation. I'm gonna find a leaf in your home. I'm gonna take a picture.
I know. I'm fully expecting it. I was literally thinking of you coming over every single day during the fall, just on this leaf hunt situation.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, before we jump on to any more questions, I want to go to Maid Reapers because Maid Reaper submitted some channel points earlier. So I'm going to get to that because it's a channel point submission. I can't pull it up on the screen, but the question from Maid Reaper is, what is most appealing part of Wild RP to you? I think the most appealing part for me is collaborative storytelling. That's one of the things I loved about Dungeons and Dragons and being a dungeon master, the idea that you can put forth part of what you see in your imagination or part of what you see in a story or a person, and someone else adds to it and it completely begins to just take on this new form. In my real life, outside of gameplay and outside of storytelling, I think what's called a builder in a lot of, when you take those personality tests and you kind of learn more about the traits that you kind of are really foundationally made with. I am an imaginative person. So let's say I'm in a room of people and we're trying to solve a problem, or we're going to be launching a new business, or we want to do an event. I am the person who starts to just see creation. I see ideas. I see places things can go. I start to throw things on the table. And when someone grabs onto one, everything else that I was thinking goes out the window. We're now with this, and we're building and we're building and we're building. And that's kind of my personality. The follow through of the ideas, it's not my strong suit, but that building part is something that I've just always had inside of me. And so specifically for Wild RP, when I saw this community and I was watching people streaming, and I was realizing that there's a group of people who collaboratively get together on a server to tell stories together, I had to try that out for myself, because storytelling is so much fun. And being able to get completely into a character and kind of flesh that out is also a really interesting part of therapy and life. And I know that my desire is to kind of come alongside and enhance story, which is why my first character is designed to be more of a support role, because I really want to support other people's stories because I love it so much. So thanks for the question. It was a
Very
really good
nice. Jose the Third, you question, I'm very curious if Danae listened to any Static or Ben L after last week's show.
I didn't, but I'm going to pull it up now because I want to do that. No, I didn't. And I'm sorry about that, because I actually genuinely wanted to, because they look very, very interesting. So I've got them pulled up, and I'm not going to close this tab until I listen to some more.
Nicely.
Speaking of tabs, I did, Captain Rebel did link me to a article. So I'm going to pull that up visually. I'm going to try to describe it for the podcast listeners. I want you guys to see, since we're sharing.
While you're doing that, I will say people are very put off by my candy eating habits, and I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Are they really, though?
Have I told you how I eat Jolly Ranchers?
Oh, no. Look at this.
That's a fun story.
So what we're looking at is this art gallery, and there's dogs that are sitting in front of artwork that has been put down on their level so that they can walk around and look at art. I mean, that's adorable. I'm kind of all for this. They had a 10-foot wide dog bowl that was filled with 1,000 dog-shaped balls that they could jump in, like a ball pit.
Dog food shaped balls.
What did I say?
They're circle. You said dog shaped balls, which is a totally different thing. You might want to see a doctor. But yeah.
There's a picture. This is the picture that I think we'll end on, which is clearly someone has chucked their dog into the ball pit to get this photo, right? There's no way that dog is like, I'm going to dive into what looks like, what's that candy, or not, or the cereal?
Kix.
Nope. The brown, they're like, they're chocolate.
Oh, well then
Cocoa Puffs. Chocolate. These are Cocoa Puffs. They look like Cocoa Puffs.
Is that what Cocoa? Oh, I'm thinking of Cocoa Pebbles. Yeah, no, Cocoa Puffs. That looks more like, to me, it looks like the peanut butter with a Captain Crunch peanut butter. The peanut butter Captain Crunch. That's what it looks like. Count Chocula,
someone says too. Oh, I said I was done. Oh, this is torture. It included torture, which is a screen that simulates a frisbee bouncing around that the dog cannot get to.
So you'd like to torture your pet.
That's amazing.
Let's see. JCD says, you question what is something that you have a hard time convincing yourself is worth the time to do. I've historically had problems to convince myself that dating apps are worth the time.
Oof, that's a big one. That's a whole topic in and of itself, right?
What, dating apps?
Dating apps.
Oh, yeah.
If we're not talking about dating apps, we're talking about convincing yourself that you have that you should do it. That's worth your time. Mm-hmm. God, so many things. Oh, Oh, the list is so long. Cleaning, laundry,
Sure.
oil changes.
Chores in general.
Yeah, growing up.
Adulting. Pat answer, adulting.
Yeah, Pat answer. Yeah.
The only thing specifically that comes to mind are pop culture related. I think of like watching The Sopranos. Like everybody says this is an amazing show, and I just like I don't want. How many seasons? Like I can't.
How many seasons are there?
I don't know. It's like 6 or 7. It's a lot, and I'm just like hour-long episodes, 20 episodes a season. I'm just like I can't convince myself that that's actually worth my investment. So pop culture things like that sometimes, come to mind.
I mean, pop culture is an easy reach for me too, because of my job and because most of the audience that we interact with is all really passionate about content of some kind. I get daily, sometimes messages from all the different platforms that I'm on of just like, hey, you would love this show. And I love that people know me well enough, and they're likely very right. I mean, Aaron has lived and suffered through my friendship with him
I have shared
almost 10 years.
I have shared a spreadsheet with her of shows that she will love, just in case she's ever feeling, hey, I could throw on a show right now, and then she can go to that spreadsheet, but she wouldn't even remember that spreadsheet exists unless I told her. So
I was just going to say, I totally forgot about that. How are you friends with me? Oh my God. So it's hard for me that's a hard one for me, but that was a kind of an easy reach. Probably knew that about me already. I don't know. Someone mentioned cooking in the chat. That's a hard one too, which is why I've kind of forced myself to get HelloFresh, and I'm kind of really forcing myself to create food because I'm paying for it. And I'm learning a lot about cooking, and I know that I'm not going to cook well for myself unless I'm forced to. So I think I'll also kind of piggyback on that one too. That's a good answer.
Nice. Slab says, no you question, just a statement. I start a new shift next week, 12 hours earlier, which means no more live DNA.
Oh, Slab.
I'll still catch the pod, but wanted to say I'm going to miss the live show so much in the interaction with the chats. Yeah,
no.
big hugs. Big hugs, Slab.
Slab is amazing.
We will miss you too, for sure.
And thank you for all your support. You are in a lot of really amazing places, and you'll be missed.
I do think it's also important that Lady Niobe is chiming in. Yep, leaves can blow right in, and they do stick to shoes. So
I love that you have backup on that.
Yeah. Let's see. Any more you questions from you guys? Real Mikey Alexander says, Danae, have you thought about writing down and publishing the adventures in your games?
Yes, that really kicked in when I created my own Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I started with a small idea, and because of my imagination, it just turned into an entire deeply thought out and detailed world. And the progression of the game and where the characters were going and the story that I created to support where they were going in their adventure, and the people and the creatures and the reasons and the politics. I went into a lot of story building, and I have a lot of content that I could easily reach for and write down. But again, the hard part for me is the part I need to partner with someone who can kind of help me. And I don't want to say that as a crutch. I want to say that as an experienced person. I know myself really well. I'm an expert at Danae. And so if I don't have that incentive to sit down and do something with, like, for example, streaming. I wasn't incentivized to stream until I started streaming Babs like 3 or 4 times ago, right? And people were saying, I'm enjoying this. This is fun for me to experience. Then I'm like, oh, then I want to partner with them and provide something that's fun. And so I have to kind of do with. So if it's a book, or content that I would publish that could be read, I'm really curious what that would look like. I wonder if I would need to maybe hire someone to kind of edit and partner with me to take me through the process and kind of give me some deadlines and some guidelines and things. Because also I'm not motivated by deadlines. I'm just like, oh yeah, deadline. Okay, it can come and go. So I need to find that motivation to get it out of me. But there's a really fun story there. And every single person that played in my campaign for Dungeons and Dragons multiple times, and sometimes like emphatically said, you need to write this book. This is really, really fun. So I definitely could if the timing is right, and if I can kind of be motivated in the right way, I think.
Question for me, based on your response, do you have a hard time role-playing Sadie now that you've got Babs and there's been such a good response for Babs? Sorry, this is a little in the weeds of Wild RP. I just know, like, I almost think Sadie's story is, well, Babs hasn't had a ton of time to develop a huge story, but, you know, Sadie's got a lot of history to her that's really interesting. And
no, that's a really good question. One that's actually come up multiple times. And the quick answer is no, it's not. Sadie's a different, an entirely different character.
Oh, for sure.
There's a pull and a draw for Sadie, just like there's a pull and a draw for Babs. Babs is able to do things that Sadie would never do. And so there's genuinely an interest from me, the player, who hasn't done these things in the game. So Babs is definitely built more to do this sort of chaos. Last night, she learned how to make, if anyone isn't wanting to learn about Babs' story, please plug your ears. Dynamite. Now, listen, would Sadie ever do that? No, she would never. Like, how would she ever learn this thing? But because of this chaotic person and the people that she's meeting and her kind of wildness and her criminal kind of mentality, or her propensity to do things that are definitely going to skirt the line of law and or just straight up break the law, she's going to have a totally different adventure. They are different parts of my storytelling, and they're different characters, and I'm certainly drawn to Babs a lot right now because there's just some fun stuff happening. However, Sadie is a very core character for me, and she's not going anywhere. It's just now I have two to juggle, and so I'm hoping I can do that. That's the one thing I'm hoping I can do, is juggle those really well. And my plan is to kind of just basically go back and forth and not get too caught up in one over the other, even though I want to stream adventures a lot.
You just have to decide if you're more in the mood to stream Harley Quinn, or if you're more in the mood to stream Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie. Like, it's like,
yes,
you know,
yes,
just the two sides of the day. Two sides of the day.
Yes.
Follow-up question from Lolly. Did Aaron listen to David Bowie? I don't understand the question. I'm a huge Bowie fan. I listen to Bowie all the time. Just this week, I was listening to the Man Who Sold the World album and the Young Americans album. Listen to both of those all the way through.
American, American,
maybe I'll throw on the Heroes album at some point. Like, I don't understand where this question is coming from. So,
can I just take a little side quest on that one and say that I was listening to Bowie getting ready. I was actually listening to Bowie getting ready. My husband comes in, he's like, "Who is this?" And I was like,
No.
How do you
Listen, you don't have any right to have that reaction when somebody doesn't know who's singing a song, because like you will
how
hear
do you not know
some
his voice?
Yeah,
It's
but you have songs that you love and you have
Bowie.
no idea who sings them. We've been through this.
That's
so
true. That's true.
yeah.
No, you're fine. Golden. Wap, wap. I mean, come on. Who doesn't know that song?
Lucas hanging out with us. Glad to have you back, Lucas. He said he was able to be back with us today. Says, you question, I just got a haircut while watching the show. How often do you get a haircut, Aaron? I need one every month.
I haven't had one since before pandemic. I haven't had one since March of 2020. No, 20.
Yeah.
Or was it 2019?
It was 2020. March of 2020 was when everything like really shut down. Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't had one since March. No. Yeah. March of 2020. February, maybe.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. And if you could see the ends, they scream at you. You can hear them scraping against this. That's actually my hair.
That reminds me. Have you ever heard somebody crack their nose? Have you heard somebody
Stop
crack their
it.
That's what that reminded me of.
Man, I remember the first time someone did that to me, and I was like unhinged.
Yeah, I was like, what is your nose doing?
You shouldn't do that. Noses aren't supposed to click like that, dude.
So the answer to the question is, I found somebody who I love, the way they style my hair, the way they cut it. And she is also very, very in demand. And so when I get a haircut, I immediately schedule our next appointment for 4 weeks from the day. So every 4 weeks, so about monthly as well. I could probably go 5 weeks. I could probably go 6 and be okay. I'm currently right now at a length where I feel like it's getting a little unruly, a little long, but it's still fine. And right now I'm at 3.5 weeks, something like that. So I'm coming up on a haircut this weekend. So yeah, I probably cut it too often, actually. I should probably go to like a 5-week schedule. Yeah.
Ollie asks, what's something that took you ages to get around to, but immediately loved? Her example, I finally watched Labyrinth the other week and it's incredible. And why didn't I watch it sooner? Yeah. Definitely content. Definitely there's certain shows that I've watched, that I've been told to watch. So I can relate to that. But I think like Aaron told me about The Good Place. And then I didn't watch it until we send it for our jobs. I was like, this is amazing. He's like,
It's on your spreadsheet.
Recently, yeah. Recently I've been trying different kinds of foods because of HelloFresh. So like poblano peppers and things like this, where people will be like, oh, this is really, really good. And I used to always instantly, no, I don't want that. That sounds dangerous. That sounds like I'm not going to like it. But it turns out it's freaking yummy. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely more experimental with foods these days as well.
Yeah, I have an interesting food one with my super tasting, which I've talked about before, but if you don't know, I am a super taster, which is a thing that has to do with the amount of taste buds that you actually have on your tongue, and it affects the intensity at which you taste food. I had stayed away from cottage cheese for most of my life because I thought it looked like sour cream.
It kind of does, though.
And like any white soupy liquid has never been good for me. The only one is queso. Queso is the only white liquid that I've ever enjoyed. And I had somebody said, you do understand it's literally cheese. Like it's literally just a type of cheese. Like those little clumps in there are like string cheese. And I was like, what?
But they're not. They're also slimy string cheese.
Correct. But I'm not texture isn't a super taster. It's the actual taste that I worry about.
Okay. Right.
And so I had some cottage cheese and I was like, this is good. Who knew? It's like cheese. It's like slimy cheese. It's amazing. So that was kind of one for me. Like when I was like in my 30s, like 30 some years of being like, no, thank you. I hate cottage cheese. Not realizing I'd never really tried it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Jose had the same thing with Good Place. And Mikey was talking about being a picky eater and didn't eat Chinese food until 30 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't it interesting how we just kind of like won't try things? But
Similar
also
story.
It's just timing.
Chinese food has a lot of sauces. Sauces are always a danger zone for me. And so it wasn't until I found sesame chicken that I was like, oh, I like this one. And so now I have something I can order at Chinese places. So similar kind of thing. Real Mikey Alexander says, Aaron, do you have a favorite cider mill back in Michigan? Have you been able to go when you visit? Yates in Rochester was the best. No, but man, fall cider in Michigan is legit. It is so good.
Oh my gosh, that's making me want something to drink so bad.
Yeah,
I love cider.
Oh, the cider in Michigan is next level. And yeah, but I didn't have necessarily a mill that like I was loyal to in that way. So yeah. Let's see. Danae, do you see anything else?
There's a few kind of scattered in there. Hey, as we kind of wrap up, we might answer another question or two here. Just a reminder, we go live every Mondays at 9 a.m. Central. And we are happy to have you guys along, especially for those of you who are brand new coming into the Twitch channels. This is just a podcast that Aaron and I have been doing since 2012 called Shoe the Dough, but it's kind of expanded into being sort of like the morning DNA, D being Danae, A being Aaron. We accidentally kind of launched our own podcast network called Studio DNA Podcast Network, and we have helped other people launch their shows. We do things like consultations and stuff with creative people who are trying to figure out how to launch a podcast or how to put a show together, because he and I have worked together creating content for almost a decade. We started off in radio together doing a live morning show. And this is kind of our place to continue to have that sort of morning show vibe. And we really appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with us, especially for those that usually watch me role play. So thanks for just kind of getting to know more about the person behind the game, and getting to know more about Aaron as well. We talk about our own personal stories here on our Morning DNA, and we also talk about your stories. And we do that every Monday at 9 a.m. Central. You can also get the podcast and listen to old episodes where you'll learn all kinds of things about us. Some of them we wish we would have never talked about, but you know what? That's okay. It's all up for conversation. We really love just sort of opening up and talking and sort of fearlessly learning about how we even ourselves have changed over 10 years as content creators. That podcast is called Shoe the Dough. We do have people that support us directly through Patreon. So patreon.com/Studio DNA. I know I'm throwing out a lot of information. It's on a little scroll down the bottom, but patreon.com/Studio DNA. We always like to mention them because those people who support us every single month are the reason that we can do a show like this and have a podcast network, and have a producer that assists us. We have all kinds of content that kind of comes out in podcast format. And Aaron himself has a podcast he does called Sif Pop over on his Twitch channel. So if you want to give him a follow, let me see if I can. There it is. There's the link. You can follow Aaron over there, and his is like pop culture related. So they do a lot of content review for movies and shows and things like that. So we produce a lot of content, Aaron and I. So there's something for everyone.
Sure.
But we appreciate you guys finding us this morning and hanging out with us. Was there any other questions, Aaron, that you found?
No, not really. But Lolly's just blowing my mind. Said I tried I think she means PB&J for the first time last year. It wasn't as bad as I feared.
But she said PD. So what is that?
I mean, if PD&J is a different thing, then let us know. But I assume you're talking PB&J, and it is
duck fat.
for an. Okay. It is for an American to know somebody didn't grow up having PB&J, it's
shocking.
It's almost incomprehensible, like or incomprehensible, whichever of those words works better for you.
Both of them, yes.
So congratulations on the gloriousness that is PB&J. All right, guys. Love you. Thank you. We'll be back next Monday. Who knows?
Stick around, people that are on Twitch, because I'm going to be raiding into Timber and New today.
So there's the raid for Danae's Twitch channel that she will be doing.
Yes. We're going to be raiding into somebody who works with their hands and wood, and they're very, very talented. And I highly recommend sticking around. At least watch for a little bit, give him a follow, give him some love this morning. And we'll see you guys later.
See you on the next Monday or someday. Bye.